What's going on, guys? Welcome to Tactical Foul. I'm Kyle Grew, here again with Cameron Baker, and today we're going to be going over a tier list of wonder kids. I guess what we call them. To define a wonder kid, I think the oldest you can be is 22,
That's old.
and that's pushing it.
Yeah, I think this is not Wonder Kids. I think this is just good young players.
Yeah,
Wonder Kids is like, I always like in the like the news. It's always like under 16-year-olds is a wonder kid.
I think it's a little young, but we have 17 to 22 is our age range.
Yeah.
So yeah, I would say there's probably some people on here or some people not on here that we missed. Some people that maybe wouldn't be included on every list. But for the most part, we have some of the best talent around Europe, not just the Premier League. So we'll go over the tiers first. Our top tier, generational. I think most of these tiers are pretty self-explanatory. Generational, I don't want to compare them to Lionel Messi and Ronaldo because
They're the closest thing.
The closest thing. I think that those are guys.
Closest career projection.
Yeah, the guys that even soccer fans, football fans, even if you're not a fan of the sport, you know that name. That's how much you're transcendent. The next would be world class. I think we've kind of argued about this in the past about what exactly is world class, and I think it's tough. I think you have to be within the top 5 of your position. I think, and I think it changes position by position because sometimes there might only be truly 2, world class right wingers, but there might be 6 world class strikers, right?
Correct.
So that it's tough, but I think production and everything like that does matter. It's just whoever is putting up like the elite of the elite kind of numbers. The next is good. I think you are probably in this list with the players that we have.
It's like a starter.
Yeah, I think it's a starter, and maybe even more than that.
Yeah, maybe more than
Probably a star.
You're right.
Player.
Decent is probably starter.
Yeah.
I would say good is like a star. World class is like a high performing star. Generational is like vomit inducing.
I don't know about vomit inducing.
Just like
they're probably a squad they might even be a starter, but just nothing in comparison to this list, because I think we have to put it in context. It's if they are overrated, it's based on this list right now, not necessarily like saying that they're the worst player of all time or like anything like that. It's just based on this list, and the truth is, you got to have someone in there.
Yep.
So there will be. So I think let's kick it off. Let's get a little. I'll get a little bias here, real quick. He's the first name on the list, so Marcus Rashford.
Oh, we're going player by player. Okay.
Yeah, we'll go player by player.
Let's go.
I'll let you take it off because
I had different tiers, but he's in my third tier in the good tier.
So good.
Yep. He's definitely a star for Manchester United, and he's growing in terms of his goal total and his production total. He's a little short when it comes to world-class numbers. And when you're comparing him not necessarily to his age groups, but to world-class wingers like Mohamed Salah, Sadio Mane, keep going. Within England, he's a little short, and I think you could see within the next 2 years that he grows another step, but right now he's not there. He should have kept taking penalty kicks because I might have changed my mind.
I don't disagree, but I do think though the numbers that he has put up this year.
I think he's on the high end of the good tier if there's a spectrum.
And I think this is tough, right? Because I think it is a bit of like what are you doing for me now, and a little bit of projection, right?
Correct.
Because this is where I think when we do this, it's kind of like where do we think their career is going to end up, right? And that's why I definitely think that I'm looking at the rest of the list, and I do think that he sneaks into world class because, I mean, obviously this is his best year, right? But he has been a productive member for Manchester United from a young age, still 22, he had 22 goals, 11 assists, and yeah, I think, and he, obviously he hasn't been able to not match it because obviously you can't match what he did this season yet. But he hasn't done it before at this high of a level, right? This rate of scoring. But he has still been a dangerous player, and you've been seeing this development. And what we're talking about is he's already kind of like pushing into that category. And I think his trajectory and what he's done, like the rate at which he's progressed, shows you a world class talent and world class play. And he's even starting to match it more so with the numbers as well.
Yeah, I think honestly he's probably 2 or 3 goals away. I think he's probably he's the closest player to reach to break into that category. But if you're looking at like the next tier, which is, I mean, I think it's pretty self-explanatory. Like Haaland is in one of the 2 tiers above him. I mean, Haaland is scoring 15 more goals than him.
And I get that.
And I think like that is an indicator that Haaland is not even in the same age bracket, younger than him, but you know, he needs to have 1 a full year and 2 needs to get to 20 Premier League goals for sure.
Yeah, which is harsh, right? Because like he was right on the cusp, obviously. But
yeah,
the injury,
that's what I'm saying. He's the closest.
The injury
player.
took him out.
My opinion is he's the closest player to reach that category. Mostly because I'm on my list. I told you I only have 7 people above this level. That's because I think they're all performing at like a really high level, and I think he's the closest player to break into that category.
Yeah, and I think obviously at the end, I think we can look at it and just like dissect it and change things. I'll give you that one just so I won't be biased right now. I do think there is definitely a big case for him.
I think he's number 1 in the good tier.
Yeah.
I'll be very clear about that. I think he's number 1. Mostly because I'm very picky about world class, and I do not think Rashford is world class. And I think he's very close to it. I think he could get there in 1 or 2 years.
I don't disagree. I don't disagree with you. I guess
understand this list is not necessarily categorizing players
as they are right now,
yeah.
and that's why I'm looking at it. Like I think when I look at this list, that's why I see him amongst this list. He's like a guy you're like, if he keeps going the way he's going, like based on his track record, he'll finish as a world class player.
I very much think next year he very well could be there.
Yeah, fair.
Bar injury and garbage performance for Manchester United.
Let's hope that doesn't happen.
Yeah, for your case.
Next guy, Real Madrid, Valverde.
Yeah. Yep, world class. Guy is, and I think people don't know who Fetty is.
No,
because he's a midfielder.
I mean,
but he has basically re-engineered a nearly impeccable Real Madrid midfield. Yeah, I mean, when you're looking at Casemiro, Toni Kroos, and Modric, basically Modric's dip in form has gone completely unnoticed.
Yeah, because Valverde stepped in.
Because Valverde was that good, and he is also a banging starter and top performer for Uruguay. I mean, the guy is like young 20s. Yeah. He's actually one of the players that I've actually seen play a decent amount this year out of all these players.
Right.
So some of them I'm like talking about.
Fair.
But actually, I actually have watched a lot of Spanish soccer this year.
Just because, for sure.
He's very good. At least at the year he had was extraordinary. He had a good year last year too, but this year was he really.
Yeah. I mean, he took
and to fill the shoes of Luka and to fill like what Real Madrid needed this year, like no joke.
Yeah, I think he's a big reason why they won the title.
I think he is a huge reason.
My only, playing a little bit of devil's advocate, because I'll be honest, I love Valverde. I think he's unbelievable. I do think though, like when we talk about like he needs to do it more. I think it's tougher because he's a midfielder. So like, and it's harder to break in as a midfielder. So if you're able to come in and have that much success, I think it's
50 games this year.
Yeah, and you had that much success. It's like, okay, that's a little bit different than being a striker or like a winger. Like you have one good year because people have one good scoring year all the time.
Fati scores 2 goals and then he's the starter.
Yeah,
because as a forward,
it's about form.
It's about form. Is like they're like, oh, this kid scored, maybe he can keep scoring, and then what does he end up doing? He scores like
the truth.
6 or
I think
7
the
goals.
Testament for why he is what we're talking about that he is because you didn't talk about him. The only time you talked about him was on the red card he got against Atletico, which made him literally a cult hero for Real Madrid. But that's a testament because a young guy playing for Real Madrid, if he's having bad performances, you're hearing about it.
Oh yeah.
And you didn't hear about it because he just goes about his job and he does it at such an elite
had
level, you
the-
don't even notice.
They had the young left back.
For Ferland Mendy.
No, the one before him. I can't remember his name. Spanish, starts with an O. And he played well for like 4 or 5 games, and then played terrible
Yeah.
for a while. And like all you could hear about was how he was trash, and that they needed Marcelo to return to form. And then they bought Mendy, and Mendy's been good for them.
Yeah, quite good. Yeah, they got. I think.
At Real Madrid, like if you suck, you suck,
Yeah.
and like they're gonna tear you.
and
apart.
you don't get
get the praise that this kid has gotten.
Yeah, for
If
sure.
you're not high up on the list.
I'm good with world class because I think that he's that good. So
Actually cannot even see this picture. Who is this next guy?
Rodrigo,
Rodrigo.
you love Rodrigo.
I did. He had a great start to the year, and he really tanked.
I think. Yeah, and it's tough.
He's in my overrated tier. Yep, he's down there. He went from like playing a lot and scoring to like didn't even finish the year.
This is where I gotta like.
Or at least Vinny. If Vinny was playing still.
This is where I gotta step in with some like projection a little bit. Like this guy came in fastest goal I believe in a debut for Real Madrid ever, right? And he had some good games.
When
Still,
you score is not that important to me.
I get it, but like he broke onto the scene. He did well, but it's like there's so much competition at Real Madrid.
Of course there is.
So it's like I know like, and honestly,
But he had the luxury of also Eden Hazard being injured all year.
Yeah, I get that, but you gotta think like they're just like a wealth of riches on like people they can play, right? I mean, to be fair, I'm so glad he's on the bench because it's hilarious moment after hilarious moment. But Gareth Bale's on the bench for them,
Oh, yeah.
and so it's like,
And-
is it that bad that this? What is he 18 or is he 19 now?
Yeah, he's a teenager, I think.
You know what I mean? Like, I'm not ready to put him overrated because we haven't seen.
But I think overrated. I think you've harshly named the tier. I think he's just in the lowest bracket right
I don't think he is. I think he's still decent because I think he put in enough good performances to qualify as decent.
I'd argue a lot of the people in the decent category, in my decent category, are actually performing at a higher level than he is. I mean, I'm pretty sure he had under 10 goals this year.
Yeah.
So as a forward, I think it was under 10 goal, production, goals and assists.
Goal
contributions. So I think as like a forward, and you're not contributing 10 goals to the team, that means that then you should be a rotation player, which decent to me. I think there's a lot of good starters in the decent tier that aren't gonna break into the highest tier, but they're performing at a good level.
So,
that I don't think I can realistically put him in a tier with people who are outperforming him by 5, 6, 7 goals.
So okay, here's my question though.
Age does matter.
And it's not even about the age. It's not even about the age.
These guys are all very similar.
Right. They're all still quite young. That's not even my question. When you're talking about their starters and whatnot, if he wasn't at Real Madrid,
he would probably be doing better.
yes.
Well, actually, I don't know that that's true because Kubo's not at a team like that, and he's not really doing any better. So, in terms of production, as like a high midfielder,
Production, yeah. But I would say that Kubo has
slightly different. Slightly,
He's a creative. He's a playmaker. And more
yeah, but
of
you
those.
still judge wingers on production.
I don't disagree. I have a hard time. I think he's indecent. I think he's had enough performances this year to validate that.
Okay.
So,
but we can't put them all in decent, Kyle.
we can't.
He's on the bottom of the decent tier if he is.
That's fair. I'll give you that. I think this guy's number 1 on the overrated tier.
Oh yeah, get this guy out of here.
Can we just be quick about this? Look,
he's not a bad player.
he's not a bad player.
He's just not great either.
He's just. I mean, of
The
the guy.
idea, my same concept applies to Gazitas. What is his last name?
Guendouzi.
Oh, Guendouzi. Matteo.
Matteo Guendouzi.
Matteo. My little David Luiz man here. My same problem persists, and Rodrigo has a much harder situation but the fact that he's not like a starter for his team is kind of an issue.
Yeah.
Now I understand the idea of Rodriguez, Rodrigo. He has like talent and potential and stuff like that, and he's had good performances. And not to say that.
Guendouzi's had good performances.
Yes,
as
he
well.
definitely has. But the idea that he can't really get in the team over like, not overly special players in front of him.
I do think
is like, okay, that means he's a good player. He'll probably have a good career, but I don't think he's going to be.
I do think it is odd
top class
that I do, and I'm not standing up for him because I totally agree. I do think that it is probably something to say that like he was starting before Arteta came in, but to be fair, like
you got to be able to change managers.
Yeah, he hasn't probably adapted, and that that's what it is.
I mean,
that probably comes down to age and stuff.
You
but
can think about like, at Chelsea, Cesar Azpilicueta has been a starter for
doesn't matter what manager's there.
8 years.
Yeah,
I've gone through 8 managers.
100%.
So
here's
this guy.
Here's some heartstrings.
I can't see.
Tammy Abraham.
I love Tammy. He's a bang in the middle of the decent tier, right in the middle of it. Good player. If he had scored a couple more goals,
I think it's harsh on him, honestly. But
no, it's not.
I don't think
that is exactly where he needs to be. He's a very decent player. He's gonna have a very good career. I actually think he has a good mentality that he will grow and score consistently 20 goals a season. I do not see him ever getting to like a 30, 40 goal season
and that's fair
type thing.
I just mean
but I think over his career he's going to be a 350 goal striker, which means he's going to be at the end of his career in the same category as a lot of extremely good strikers.
Yeah, and I don't. The only reason I say it's harsh is because like, to be fair, he had a quite good season.
He had a great year.
14 goals in the Premier League.
15 Premier League goals. 17 total. I think he had like. A bag full of assists, 5 or 6.
Yeah, I mean,
he had 21.
Some injuries have definitely.
Yeah, he played
hampered his season.
Yeah, he played a lot of games, but he didn't play a lot of minutes. So his like appearances are kind of skewed if you look at.
It's kind of like Greenwood, where like he played a lot of games, but it was like off the bench and different things like that.
He wasn't always because we had a string of Mishi and we had a string of Giroud at the end of the year.
Yeah.
So he had a great year. I'm very excited to see where he goes, but right now he's in the decent tier.
Yeah, I'm fine. I won't argue with that. All right.
Haha, the main man.
Kai.
Yeah.
All right. Before we start, is he coming to Chelsea? What are do you want him to come to Chelsea?
Of course.
All right. Fair enough.
Yeah. This guy's a beast. I think, right?
I think he is. I think at his age, I think he scored more Bundesliga goals than anyone has ever done.
Yeah,
so
I wrote this down actually.
I think he was.
I was like actually surprised. He's been playing since he was 16 in the Bundesliga.
Yeah,
and he has 44 goals and 31 assists.
Yeah,
and in the last 2 years, which is kind of when he's done the most, he's had 37 goals and 16 assists.
Yeah,
so that's a lot. And I know he's versatile.
He does play winger too. I think,
but he's like a midfielder.
He plays like a mid. He's not what you would like when he's either an attacking mid like formationally, right, or a right winger. But he plays like a box to box player. Like he gets, like he gives you just about everything.
Yeah, I think he's a really strong player. I think he's on that world class level, and I think he's got really high potential. He's a very unique player. He's so big.
He's very big. I do wonder sometimes.
He's weird because
I don't think he's big, but I don't think he's overly. His physicality is one of his strongest points, but he is still young and probably like he's kind of gangly. He's kind of Gumby-ish.
The production, me, production as a midfielder is like really attractive.
Yeah,
to me.
You got that.
We got that
Lampard boner just.
So for him to be doing that, and I know he's versatile, he plays different positions, but I know he does play in the midfield too. It's very odd to have. To have a production like that.
I would say world class. I think easy.
Yeah. He's not.
I think from that position though, like there's a quite like depending on what he does,
if he's scoring 20 goals a year,
he could be generational.
Yikes!
He could be generational.
But right now, I don't know that he can do that. He scored 17 this year. He scored 20 the year before.
Yeah.
So
If he comes to Premier League, like
if he comes to Premier League and he's scoring 20, I'm gonna be.
then it's
I'm gonna
then
be-
it's a different story. Then it's
Yeah.
like, all right, this guy's
Yeah.
different.
Trent. Oh,
Trent.
this one's gonna hurt ya.
I'm not gonna put him at where you think you're gonna put him.
Trent's a top 2 or 3 right back in the world right now. He gets as an attacking right back. I think he had 20.
I'll give you that.
I think he had 20 goal contributions this year.
I'll give you that. He's
He's
a top. He's a top 3 attacking right back.
Literally insane. And he did it 2 years in a row.
He's stupid. He's stupid.
I think he's. I'll be nice to you, and I think he's on. I think he's second from the bottom of my world class list.
Okay.
But I think he sneaks in.
You'll be shocked. I have him world class because
yeah.
I think his ability.
I think you cannot ignore
what
how
he does.
you
Yeah,
can.
look, I'm a hater. That's fine. I'm not really a hater because I'll be honest about it. Like what he does offensively
is like
is-
what dreams are made of.
is unbelievable.
Yeah.
I do think that
His passing quality is really insane.
his passing quality is good. I do think that because I gotta knock him down a little bit. 'Cause
I expect. I'm cool with
I'm
it.
giving him way too much hype right now because I'm about to put him in world class. No argument. But I do think that sometimes because he's known for crossing, right? Like that's his thing. I think his passing, his actual just like pure passing ability is better and more efficient than his actual crossing. I do think at times he just is cross happy and it's more quantity, but when you cross that many times because they have the ball so much, you're going to get assists. However, there's times of just sheer brilliance and you're like, oh my God.
No.
And
Like, dude, his free kick ability is actually.
yeah, it doesn't make sense.
It's like Messi quality. Like I was telling you this when we played Liverpool. Chelsea played Liverpool, and they got that stupid free kick.
You knew. You just knew.
I literally was sitting there like,
Whoa. Hold the phone.
I was literally sitting there so mad because I knew the whole time it was going in.
Yeah.
I knew it,
And
that is very frustrating.
that would be frustrating.
That's very frustrating.
Next guy, I
Ah.
think he's an interesting one.
I don't know that he should be in the list. He seems a little bit on the old end.
Trent.
Oh no. Dembele.
Oh, This is Dembele. You're right. Dembele's, but he's 22.
Is he really?
Yeah.
Unbelievably young.
I believe so. I have.
Yeah.
But can I be honest?
He's on the decent tier, and you know why?
Because it was years
well,
with Dortmund.
Okay. No, because he had a year with Dortmund. That was very good.
Stupid.
But his first year with Barca was probably not as bad as people think it was. But they were expecting like an addition. But when you actually look at like what he did, it wasn't like the worst player of all time. The problem with the view on him right now is that he literally didn't play this year. Like
Yeah.
did not play at all.
But you know what?
So would I have like me personally? I would take him like based on what I know of him as a player or like what he can do over like Rodrigo. That's kind of where I was coming at with Rodrigo.
You want to know why?
Is, like I think he's decent.
You want to know why I don't? And I'll tell you. Not just the fact that he didn't play. Injuries are obviously a problem right now.
So you have to go back a year almost.
Yeah,
like,
and
'cause
so,
you can't take this.
you know, injuries are a problem. He didn't really perform as well. Obviously, at Dortmund, he was a monster. But you know what I think one of the more worrying things is even in the midst of him not playing well, all the reports are not good, right? Like a lot of the reasons he wasn't playing was because he was showing up late to training. He was a jackass in training, you know, those type of things. And it's like, I just think this guy probably doesn't have this mentality that like some of these guys that are world-class players and other players have. And you kind of see it, right? Like you just don't like he was really good. Like really good for Dortmund.
it's Jadon Sancho level.
It was ridiculous.
He came out and was.
But then as soon
smoked.
as he like kind of like almost like accomplished like that goal of like moving to Barcelona, he doesn't even look the same. And of course, playing at Barcelona is not easy and it's a
different beast.
whole different animal. But with Rodrigo, like he pops in and like you can see he's like trying to break in, he's working. Like Dembele just doesn't even look like it does. He looks completely different, like mentality and everything, which is why I think he's an overrated at this point.
Yeah,
He has more talent than a few of these guys, like base talent, and like he's had more production in a season than a lot of these guys.
Yep.
But I think where he has fallen, I believe he's in overrated at the moment.
Yeah, and I think that's where I would say it's harsh because you're looking at Rodrigo or maybe even Kubo or some of these really young guys that have never had a season like this guy has had.
Yeah.
You know, and so this guy definitely has, this guy has like world class
but the
talent.
The other
But
problem
he had
is
1 year and we're judging him off the one bad year. And then he got injured the second year. And so how do you even evaluate this year as a productive year at all?
yeah.
So we're talking about 1 year where he did pick up some injuries and he actually didn't have that bad of a year in terms of goals and assists. It wasn't what he should have had.
Yeah.
But he still was more productive than any season that some of these younger guys have had, like these teenagers have had.
But that's the other problem is like we talked about it. He is probably the oldest guy on this
He is
list.
Probably one of the older guys.
So like,
see, and my last point would be like he's had a better season at Barcelona than Fati has had at Barcelona, but we're gonna rank Fati higher. Is that really fair for one season? That's why I would say he's decent. He's decent. I think he's got a long way to go if he wants to get back to where he should have been.
I think he's low on decent, but
I think momentum takes him there. Yeah.
Yeah, if
I think
he has
he's-
another year, it's no
it's
question.
tough to justify
Yeah.
his fee. Yeah.
Odd one to the list.
Richarlison, yeah, he's a lot younger than I think he is.
He is a lot younger than
I think he's very decent.
I think he's a good player.
Yeah, I don't think he's like, when you look on, I think he's above Rodrigo. I think he's above Dembele. I think he's below Tammy. I think he was below Tammy this year.
He was
Like goals and stuff like that.
pretty close though.
But
I think
actually think Tammy is I think actually Richarlison is a very good player, and I think that his team sucks.
yeah, it was it was.
Which is weird because Everton's not necessarily a bad team, but they're always an underperforming team.
I do think that
I also don't think he's a center forward.
it's weird. He's got the size to be
He's huge, but he seems like a Gareth Bale type guy to me. But
push the ball past and like
he's so athletic.
he's very athletic.
He's so athletic. He's left-footed,
interesting,
which is weird.
He is interesting.
I just want him to be Gareth Bale and just be like power past people.
I don't think I think he's too like Gareth Bale is like more like with his movements, he's more athletic and just like even though he is taller and whatnot, he can like get compact and be a little more agile. Where I think Richarlison is a little bit more like upright and a little more stiffer, which is why he'll never be a Gareth Bale. But I think that like Gareth Bale doesn't do a lot of like actual like intricate dribbling, where I think Richarlison has a little bit more of that.
More Samba. Maybe.
Yeah. So
I like him. I think he's a good player.
I think he's decent.
Yeah, decent. Right.
I think-
decent too.
yeah.
I don't think he's. I think you'd have to move to I think you have to get like more efficient finishing.
Yeah.
And like move to a bigger club.
And maybe he's got a good he's got a good manager. So
Yeah, Carlos Beast. Love Carlos.
this is gonna be an interesting one. I'm ready to hear what you have to say about him.
I
You don't have as high of a thought on him as I do, and I know it.
I just haven't watched him very much.
Can I tell you what?
I think he's good. Yep. I think he's on like a high end of the good tier.
The only reason I'll keep him in good, and I'll be honest with you, is because I think that him and Rashford are on the same level of
trajectory.
of play.
What's kind of weird to me is that he's so good, and then he gets sold to Inter Milan.
Yeah, I didn't understand that.
Right. So like, if he's so good, why is he getting sold to Inter Milan? Isn't he a right back? Like
He's a right, and he can play left back as well.
right, but he's not playing left at Real Madrid. But he could play right. Danny's late 20s.
7, and they have.
Danny's. That's what I'm saying. Danny Carvajal is not old, but they could.
But they also have.
could
They
try to
also.
replace him.
They also have another guy. My guess
But
is
this guy's not good enough to replace him.
he is. No, I think he could be the starter for Real Madrid right now. That's how good he has. He has the attacking ability. I mean, honestly, and look, Jadon Sancho's unbelievable. But the reason Jadon's able to have as much freedom and have a lot of success is because you have a guy like Hakimi playing there, because he is a little rapid, right? So like defensively, he makes unbelievable recovery plays, and so, but he gets up the field in the overlapping runs because Jadon's gonna cut in, right? He wants the ball at his feet, so he's gonna cut in, and you have Hakimi who, whether it's crossing or dribbling and getting into the box, he's created so many plays for Dortmund, and it's a big reason why they've had a lot of success because of how good attacking wise he is, but also he's very, I don't think he's as good as some of the guys that we're going to mention on the list defensively, but he's quite astute. I think he's better defensively than Trent. I don't think he's as technically gifted. He's not, but he is very, very. He just makes plays happen, and I don't know what exactly I would call that, but he's fairly productive.
Okay.
But I think it's more so like, and like obviously, this is a soccer podcast, but like it's like a hockey assist. I think he gets a lot of those where he makes the pass before the pass type thing. You know what I mean? I think that he could easily go world class. I think there's gonna be some shifting. I think I'll go with good.
I have him on the good tier,
Again,
mostly because I was picky about my world class tier.
But having this, like, it's just reinforcing my point that Rashford should be in the world class tier. But
Well, there's a lot of good players in the good tier. Well, not a lot. I actually don't have a lot of players, and you'll be happy that I don't have a lot of players in Rashford's tier either.
yeah, here's where you might be mad at me.
Who's this?
You might be mad at me here.
Hudson-Odoi?
Callum Hudson-Odoi. I really like Callum Hudson-Odoi. I think he's overrated right now because I think his production level.
Hudson.
Since he's become a first-team player, his production level is nowhere near what he did in the academy. Now, in the academy, one of the most unbelievable finishers and talents that you'll see.
Okay. I think you're wrong.
Well, please tell me why.
Hudson's a decent player, and he's in the decent tier. He's behind, I would say, well, out of those 4 people, he's behind 3 of them. And so last year, Hudson became a first-team player. Like, he didn't have a appearance. So last year's his first year.
Yeah.
And I wrote this down because I actually knew you were going to bring up Hudson.
I love Hudson.
I knew you were going to bring this up. So, like, I know where you're going to put Greenwood. And Hudson has 24 goal contributions in 3,100 minutes.
For Chelsea's first team.
For Chelsea's first team. 24 goal contributions in 3,100 minutes. So, and he had an Achilles injury. And
bad one.
He missed a huge chunk of this year.
For sure.
So, and he still has, this year, he has 11 goal contributions in 1,500 minutes. So,
okay, he is more than what I thought.
He's much more productive than people think he is. The problem right now is that he's coming off a serious injury, and it's taken him a while to get back. Because it's an injury, it's the same. It's one of the worst injuries that these guys can get.
Yeah, 100%.
Especially these guys.
It's probably the worst injury.
Explosive.
An Achilles injury is probably the worst injury you can get.
Hudson is indecent, and he has a lot of talent, upward mobility, but he needs a healthy season, and he will not move from decent until he gets a healthy season.
I think the big thing that he's lacking, like just
because
watching,
he is
an uber talent.
He's 19 years old right now.
Yeah.
Like, he's very young.
I think a thing that he's lacking a lot, and maybe it's because of the Achilles injury, is just like that confidence and that swag that he had.
It's just confidence. Yeah. Well, he lost.
Because
he had a great year last year. Honestly, as a debut 18-year-old.
Yeah.
He had 13 goal contributions as an 18-year-old.
And honestly, I'll give you that. And, I'll cede that because he had more than what I thought. So just watching the games, I'm just like, because obviously I watch like
before he got his hamstring injury this year, because he got a Achilles injury, which still.
And that's another. Obviously, that's another thing that worries me.
He had a hamstring injury coming back. That's all Frank's problem. Like, Frank just sucks at
runs people in the ground, which fair enough.
But he had 5 assists in his first 5 games. Like,
okay,
he's an animal production.
I'll take being wrong on that because
I'm dead serious. He is every bit as talented as Jadon Sancho, but he has to be on the field.
Yeah,
and currently, he can't do it. So I'll be very happy to see him play more regularly, but he's got a lot of competition next year. A lot. So
yeah. Next guy for me.
You're not going to be happy. Where do you got this guy?
He's tough. I think before restart, it'd be a lot easier to just stick him into decent.
I think he's good.
I think he's very good. I think he's super talented. However,
Phil's the one player that I probably would stretch on. he's the one player that I think I have
I still think
higher than he really.
I think it's still
is
fair to
right
put him
now.
into decent, but I think he's
But I think he's on the very bottom of the good tier, and that is mostly because one, I think he had a underratedly good year.
yeah.
I think as a midfielder, I think he had like close to 15 goal contributions, and that's kind of what he's there for. He's like a
That's
high
what he
8,
is. That's
10.
what he is.
And I think he's just got. This is maybe me like breaking my own bubble. I think he's got an opportunity to like be in the first team as a starter. 'Cause
Well, no, he's
David Silva.
he is in the first team. Like he
Why-
literally,
but David Silva, who has been I mean,
he's been there, but
he's been the best midfielder in the Premier League for the last 10 years. Like, he's leaving. You know, a legend is leaving. So
Yeah.
it's Phil's time, and I think he really just needs a one good 50 appearance season where he's the guy to really show everybody that he's good. It's a lot the same as Hudson Odoi, because they're actually the same age bracket.
Yeah.
I've seen that team play enough. I've seen these academy teams play enough. Like, there's only a few people on this talent level in England, and Phil is on one of them.
Yeah, and I get that. I think he's gotten a big bump because he's performed quite well after the restart.
I would agree.
I think that it would be before the restart, he's indecent and still high because again,
Yeah, I'd say he's probably one of the top players there if he's there. I would say he's the bottom player on the good tier.
But the reason why, and here's why I'm going to keep him indecent. For me, looking at this list, I think Tammy Abraham has had a better season, and he's done it before at a productive level. So I cannot put.
Tammy's a monster.
Yeah.
At the championship level.
And to be fair, he performed well for Swansea in a really bad team. He didn't perform amazing, but he performed well.
He performed admirably. Yeah,
He performed as well as Phil has performed this year for a way worse team.
Yeah, that team was bad.
So that's why I think Phil Foden is still indecent because
That's fine. I'm cool with it.
because I can't.
He's a top. I would say he's a top 3 player in that category.
You like how I won that by using the Chelsea players?
Just all right. I'll take the loss on that one.
Am I gonna let you just take this one just to
Who's
bat?
that? Wan-Bissaka's decent. He's decent. And so like the idea that he's not near Trent. He's got a serious problem that I think he has, which is he's good defensively and he's not good offensively.
Whoa,
And
chill.
That's a problem.
Chill.
Well, that's a problem if you want to be world class.
I get what you're saying.
He's okay. He can be world class defensively,
He is,
but like
by metrics
gotta
too.
be-
Like this is probably the best one-on-one defender in the Premier League, and I think when you have an elite, I mean, let's be real. Trent is
Trent's world class.
average to below average defensively.
He's totally passable.
Average-ish.
So maybe Wan-Bissaka is totally passable offensively.
And I think he's passable.
Maybe that's where I'm like.
I think he's passable offensively, and if you look, like, I think if you watch some of these games, like, we complain about his attacking ability, it's like, what do you want us to do when, like, he's crossing the ball into good spots, but we're not there because we're just, like, not making the right runs? Because that's what was happening most of the beginning of the year before we added in Bruno and Greenwood took over that spot, right? The other guy there was Daniel James on the right wing, where of course he's not going to get as much production because Daniel James isn't cutting inside. We don't want that ball at his feet very long. You want him running into space, right? And now Greenwood's there who's going to cut in. So you're
is he
seeing
above Hakimi?
I think they're in the same spot.
Okay, then he's good.
I think he's in the good category because I'll be honest, he's not good enough offensively where he needs to be to go to that world class, but defensively, he's the best defender of anybody on this list. That's why he's gets into good.
Yeah,
So
that's okay.
next guy, I think
Who's this guy?
I think we both like him quite a
Vinny?
bit. Vinny.
Vinny's decent.
Vinny's
Vinny's decent, but he's got to have a way more productive year if he wants to be good.
yeah.
You know, I mean,
I
you
can
can't it's my same concept. Like, you can't put him in a category with Rashford when he has pipsqueak numbers compared to
Yeah,
Rashford. Like, you just can't do it.
I think
so. He's right there. He's right there. He's below Richarlison. I mean, Richarlison scoring 15 goals a year.
And that's fair. I do think something should be said about, like, you know, obviously production matters, but I do think something should be said, like, he's held his spot in that Real Madrid.
Mostly because Eden Hazard is injured.
And that's, yeah, but also, I mean, he was going to play, I mean, who's playing right wing?
I mean, think about what they got. They got Bale,
They
who's
got a lot.
staying. Bale is staying there next year.
He is staying after goggles on and sleeping on the sideline.
He's staying.
Please,
I
I'm all
thought
for this.
I thought someone said he was staying.
I
They've
know.
got Hazard.
Zidane
who-
said he was gone.
Did he?
He said he was so mad
Oh, I
about
thought-
how
I thought-
disrespectful he
I
was.
thought Bale was. Bale staying.
Believe me, that's all I want is for Bale to stay there.
Hazard. Well, because otherwise you're going back to Tottenham.
No, he's gonna go. He's gonna take that money in China. That deal didn't go through. He was
Okay.
gonna take that money.
Otherwise, they've got Hazard, Asensio. Like these two guys are in for it.
And
when
Isco plays right wing sometimes.
these guys are in. These two young guys are in for it when everybody's back.
Yeah.
Because those are quality players.
Yeah, I mean, let's be real. Asensio.
Asensio and Hazard should be
The
bang
reason
on
they
starters.
didn't buy any wingers after Ronaldo left is because that's how highly they thought of
Well,
Asensio.
they did buy Hazard, so
No, there's a season in between.
right, but eventually they did.
Because Asensio went out with a freak injury, though.
Just
But
yeah, Vinny's decent. Vinny's got a long way to go though.
I'll go with that.
Reese decent.
I'm way higher. I think I'm higher on Reese than you are.
I love Reese, but he's not above Phil Foden. That's why I don't think Wan-Bissaka is above Phil Foden.
I think he's had an overall. They I mean, at like good teams.
Okay, Wan-Bissaka's definitely then the low on that tier for me.
This is so tough.
So
because
I think Reese because he got injured.
I'm projecting for Reese, which is why I want to put him in good. I also think if I projected, I think he could also be in world class because I think he's ridiculous. You know what I mean?
But Reese missed like freaking 3 months.
I'm good with decent. I think that
He's a good player. He's a good player. I think he's got a lot of potential. He's got to have a good healthy year. He's got to be the starter the whole year.
I think he's
I
coming.
mean, he's losing a spot to Aspie. Like, come on, dude.
We're here.
It's a good spot.
I think Reese is.
I love Reese. But
I think Reese, even though obviously all my love goes to
Reese
Wan-Bissaka,
when Reese gets more productive,
I think Reese has
he's
a better
gonna-
chance of taking right now. Just like looking at it, I think he has a better chance of taking Trent's spot.
yeah, we all hope that, right?
Yeah, because defensively he's better already. He's got to step it up.
He's got Reese.
I'm ready for this one.
Greenwood's a good player. Yep. Please put him above Wan-Bissaka because it's not even close. Greenwood's a good player. He's had a great first year. He needs to have one more good year, and he's moving up.
I'm gonna fight for this one. I'm just letting you know.
He's not better than Rashford. Not yet. He's okay. Excuse me. He is better than Rashford.
He's not more productive, is what you're.
But Rashford is more the finished article, which is why you cannot put him on the same tier as someone like Haaland. They are not on the same tier.
I don't know that they are because
Haaland bagged 30,
I know
40 goals this year.
I know.
They're not.
I
So
know.
to me they cannot be in the same category.
I agree.
I think Greenwood is
'Cause
I think Greenwood literally at 18 years old is on Rashford's level. And that's scary for Rashford.
To be fair, it's scary for a lot of people because Rashford's quite a good player.
Rashford's a good player, but Greenwood's better.
4 years difference.
Yep, that's scary.
I mean,
That's scary how good this kid is.
to be fair, his percentages are.
But he scored. I mean,
He scored 15 goals. I think he had 7 or 8 assists.
yeah, it's great, great year, but not world class year. I mean,
Again, though, we got to remember this is contextual, right? Like,
Yep,
it's
he's
within this list.
he's a young player. I think he's top. Let me think. Hold on. I think he's top 3 in the good tier, and he's the youngest kid on the list, which is very high praise.
Well, in the entire list, he's second youngest, right?
Who's the youngest?
Ansu Fati.
Well, good for Ansu.
But
he's above Ansu.
definitely at this point, right?
I think he's one shade behind Rashford, and if Rashford's not world class.
Well, to be fair, I've been arguing this whole time.
but
Every
again,
time
you're talking about 20 goals
But again,
to Haaland's 40.
again, I still think that we gotta there's no way we can do this at all without a little bit of projection. And when you project, just looking at him, the numbers he put up in the time that he put it up, the numbers, just the moments that he scored some of these goals as well, to like, we should not be resting on an 18-year-old to score some goals. Unfortunately, at times we needed an 18-year-old to save us plenty of times.
Yeah, I'm just looking at played 30 Premier League games, scored 10 goals.
Yeah, but again, it's the same thing as what you're talking about with Tammy. Like, a lot of those games he's coming off the bench. And he shouldn't have been.
That's fine. But Tammy scored 5 more goals than him in the Premier League.
Yeah, but he also played a lot more minutes. He did play more minutes than Tammy did.
Tammy played 2,100 minutes. Probably not a lot more.
I think he only played 15 or 1,400 or something.
I don't know.
Yeah, something along those lines. But
that's what I'm saying. So you're going to separate these two guys, and you're going to put him above a guy who scored 7 more Premier League goals, a higher tier.
Well,
you got to be realistic about where this guy falls. He's super young, and he had a great year, which puts him above a ton of good players. But he's not world class. He did not have a world class season. He did not.
I think, okay.
Because that's what I'm saying.
If I see
think about world class. These are guys that have literally had world class seasons in their positions. 20 goal contributions as a right back. 20 goals from midfield for Havertz. Literally one of the best midfielders in La Liga for Real Madrid. He's not on that level. Not yet. He's not you're not looking at this guy and he's one of the best forwards in the Premier League. He's not. Him or Salah. You're taking Salah because Salah. You know what I mean?
Somebody.
So he's not there yet. I think he's one of those guys where I think in 2021, if he has 20 goals, then you're thinking about it completely different. But there has to be a little bit of sense of how do you rate these guys? Is he really on that level? Is he really above Rashford's level at this point?
No, he hasn't had a better season than Rashford. So if we're going off that, then I get that.
But is he above his level? I think Rashford has performed really well this year. So
yeah,
you're really gonna discredit Rashford's level just because this guy is 18 years old. These guys are all in the same bracket.
I'm not discrediting him because he's 18 years old. I'm not
trying to cut this kid down. He's had a great year, and I think me putting him in the third tier, I think that's super high praise for a kid this young.
Yeah, I just look at it because I see Haaland, and I get it. I get everything. And Haaland's what, 20?
20, yeah.
Yeah. And obviously he's not bagging as many goals. Some could be attributed to where he was playing level wise, but he did it in Champions League against big teams too. So
he scored,
and he scored an asinine amount of goals. So
for Dortmund too, which is a big club.
Yeah. So I think it's tough because I look at him and Haaland's the only guy right now that I look that's not in their late 20s or 30s that has this level of finishing ability.
Well, Mbappe.
Right.
And Sancho.
No, not even Sancho. Just straight up, because you look at Haaland and Sancho, it's clear which one's a better finisher, pure finisher, right? Now, which one's gonna make more plays and gonna
Yeah, but Sancho scored 20 goals.
I get it, and he's okay. Just scoring a lot. Sterling. Let's just talk about this, right?
Yeah.
Sterling's not an unbelievable finisher.
I agree, but that's what I'm saying. Greenwood has another step to go.
Productive, right?
He's not,
I get what you're saying, but you understand what I'm saying.
I'm on the Greenwood train, dude. You don't have to convince me.
So,
but he's not world class.
I think if we put him in good, I think he's definitely the guy on good that clearly in a season could make the biggest jump.
I think he's. What do I have? I have him as fourth on the good tier. Yeah, he's behind Rashford and for me currently 2 others. But that's just currently. That doesn't mean it can't change. I think he had a very strong first year. Very strong. One of the strongest first years you could have. which is high praise. I mean, think about he's going to be in the top 10 of this list out of, top whatever.
Ansu Fati.
What do I have?
He's a tough one.
He's not that tough for me.
You put him in overrated right now?
No, he's decent.
Decent?
He's decent.
He gets that bump because he's 17, doesn't he? And he also
no, he was okay.
in Champions
he
League.
was extremely young. Yeah, same as Greenwood. Like maybe overrate him a little bit because he's like right behind Vinny for me. He had a good year.
He was a starter for a little while.
He went in and out of the lineup. He's super young. It's too early to say
I
anything
honestly,
else.
you couldn't put him in overrated because he's too young.
He's too young.
He's
for
too
it
young,
to be there,
and he did well enough.
Yeah. Who's this guy?
Your best player since the restart. Won't take anything else.
He's
Christian Pulisic, by the way.
Christian is in the good tier.
He is in the good tier. I agree.
And he's third in the good tier. He's third in the good tier.
I mean, how many goals does he have?
10 goals, 10 assists this year.
Oh, okay. So then I don't feel bad.
Yeah, but he played.
He's got less production than Greenwood. And Greenwood played maybe the same amount.
He's better than Greenwood.
We're going to put him there. Production. You give everybody a bump for production, so I'm giving Greenwood a bump for production.
Okay. Yeah.
Pulisic
he's a solid third.
He is our.
I think the next guy. No. That's not the next guy. Okay, never mind. Keep going. Yeah, Christian had a good end of the year. Christian's got a long way to go.
Yeah. If he keeps up the form that he has after restart, it's.
Yeah. He had a good restart. He was very useful for us for sure.
Your best player.
He was not our best player.
I'm gonna pound that.
Yeah, he was not our best player, and he was not our best player all year.
No, it was not your best player all year. But after the restart, I'm beating that drum.
Yeah, he had a good restart. I mean, how are you gonna the disrespect to Ali Giroud is unbelievable. Ali scored. Ali scored 8 goals.
I will not credit him for anything. Anyone that looks that beautiful does not need compliments. That is the most gorgeous man in football.
You already know who
I've never been so intimidated by another man's beauty in my life.
Yep. Who's the next guy? Davies? Oh yeah.
Alfonso.
Fucking big boy, man. Davies is on the bottom of the world class tier. For me, the absolute bottom. And he has 2 reasons why he's on the bottom. One, he's not as productive as he should become.
Yep.
He needs to become more productive to be higher. And 2, he's a left back, and that's a high commodity these days to get a really good left back. And so the prospect that he is, as big of an athlete as he is, the technique that he has, I obviously I saw it firsthand, but that's not the first game that he's had that was a good game against Chelsea.
No, because
honestly, from that position, he literally can change a game. And I think, again, having an elite left back like that is very rare.
It's tough because I'm about to make a point that really doesn't really help my case for what I'm about to say. But a lot of people would say that he's actually been, of course, behind Lewandowski, he's been their next best player all year.
Because Lewandowski's been absolute peak.
Because they shouldn't have. I don't know why they had to cancel Ballon d'Or.
It's actually shameful.
It is because he would have won.
He should have won.
There's no reason. Everybody else.
I know this is a completely different conversation.
Yeah. We're tangent for a second.
Lewandowski definitely should have won the Ballon d'Or this year.
You're telling me you couldn't have video conferenced him and say, "Here you go."
Oh, he definitely deserved that.
Yo, it's a
the thing with Lewandowski though is he's gonna have 2 or 3 more really good years. That dude is ridiculous.
The problem is it's.
Do you know Do you know the number one?
It's because he plays for Bayern. Because that's 2 times now Bayern has actually had a real shout at probably should be Ballon d'Or.
Dude, I'm not on that Frank Ribery chain.
Okay, but still,
this one was serious.
He got voted 3rd though. Can we be real about that? Was he voted 3rd? Yeah, he was voted 3rd.
Yeah, he was. I was never on that train.
But he was unreal.
Was it 2013?
13 when they won the Champions League as well.
Yeah. I'm
either way.
Never on that train. So
we're way off. Lewandowski should be Ballon d'Or. FIFA, the Eurosham.
You do know, I know this is like an easy question, but like number one sports card I'm buying right now.
Lewandowski.
He's with the season that he had, he overtook Suarez as the best striker of our generation. So him and Luis Suarez, sports cards. But like
I think we have to do an episode about sports cards.
oh my gosh, I have so much to say.
Yeah.
But yeah, Lewandowski, like literally,
But
he's the best number 9 of our generation, of the modern day generation.
I agree. I definitely agree with that. Alphonso Davies. So
not as good, but
he's still very young. Is he 20?
No, I don't think so.
I think he's 19, isn't
Yeah,
he? Yeah, he's scary.
yeah. I think
he's still. I'm gonna be honest. I think that he is. I think it would be fair to say world class. I do think.
I think honestly, like it's the left back part of it.
I think I agree.
And
I
know
get that because
I
I think
know-
there are a lot of deficiencies still. I think he is unreal as an athlete.
He's an athlete, but he's
Um,
technical too.
He is technical. He's not as technical as a defender yet. And
He's-
you see that yet, and is like, but I think he was a wing. I think he was a winger.
He was on winger at Montreal
And so that's
or
why
Vancouver. Excuse me.
Vancouver. And I do believe you see that at times, but it doesn't matter because like, oh, you beat me, great, Phew, gotcha. And so I think he's still. I think if you say as a left back, that's fair. But I think as a player right now, I don't put him in those categories as those three guys right now. Even though he had a really good season, I still think I think I put him above I think I put him right there with Rashford, where they're just
I think the here's my differentiator, is you could take Rashford and move him around to a lot of different teams, like top teams.
Yeah.
And he might get in a couple of them, but he probably doesn't get in a lot of them. Because these teams that we're talking about are like the best of the best. We're like Davies probably gets into a lot of these top
And
teams.
again, it's based on what position he plays.
Yep. It's kind of the same as Trent. Like, you know, to be as productive as a right back is rare.
I think we talked about this, though. To be fair, if Trent left Liverpool, he'd probably be like a right mid somewhere, potentially.
Well, I think on a lot of really good teams, he'd be a right back still. Like,
Yeah,
because
potentially.
he's so productive. So
I think just barely, and it's and a lot. Not
I think skin of his teeth.
yeah.
I think he's like. I think he had a great year. I think if he has another good year, I'll feel like more settled about it.
Are we disagreeing on this?
Yeah, I think he's world class.
I think he's world class.
I think he's the top of world class.
I would agree.
But
He needs to have more of a season
he just needs to have another year.
yeah.
You know,
especially in a bigger.
Well, he had half of a Salzburg year.
No, it's
And then he had
I'm saying he just needs to continue it.
Yeah, he needs to have one more year the way he did, and
I'll put him in generational.
Yep.
Because I think he might be the next Lewandowski.
he's the top performer currently. His only downside is he's only been a pro for 1 year.
Yo, this man scored. I'm going.
He's
this
only
man scored 9 goals in a game, like a real gas game.
Yeah.
At the World was that U17 World Cup?
It's the same concept like as Rashford. Like he's not quite on the tier of Mbappe.
Yeah.
And that's only because Mbappe has had 4 or 5 seasons as a pro. This is this guy's first.
At least because he's had that many as a pro, just not mainstream,
But,
right?
yeah.
Because he played for Ole at Molde,
Yeah, I just
right? Like so, he's been playing since U16.
This was
but we
his
didn't know
first
about him
kind of
like that.
20 years old. This was his breakout year. If he plays next year like he did this year for Dortmund,
Yeah, it's no
he's
question.
gonna. It's no question.
It's no question.
But he needs one more year.
I mean, because if he plays the way he has for Dortmund, I mean, man, my man's in the Ballon d'Or talk, like goals wise,
Yeah,
right? Like because he scored an stupid.
I think he
rate,
scored like 18 and 16 or 16 and 18 or something like that for Dortmund. I think he scored 18.
right? Like, and he does that in 50 games, like that same rate.
Yeah.
Like that's Ballon d'Or numbers.
Yeah, I don't think he'll quite get there.
No, I'm not. But you know what I'm saying.
I think he easily could score 40 again next year.
Yeah.
And then he's right there with Mbappe.
So the guy that you, for whatever reason, think has been your best player since restart, I do enjoy him as a player, but
Mason is the very bottom of the good tier, and for me, and that is because this is a kid who is
bias. This is your favorite kid.
No. It's
is
not biased.
He's your favorite kid.
Well, I mean, he is my favorite player, but his body of work this season is ridiculous. He played 52 games. He scored. He had, you know, I want to say like 12 to 14 goal contributions, which is for him underperforming. He can do a lot more.
I do.
But in the same vein as I would say like Fetty above him is his underratedness as a defender, as like his work rate, his tactical versatility, his ability to play as a 6, as an 8, as a 10, as a winger is ridiculous.
Yeah.
And to do it all at a relatively high level. He have some bad games, of course. Like you don't play 52
I think
games.
he had some.
I don't think you play 52 games and they're all good games. To knock out 7 or 8 out of 10 in 40 of the 52 games is unbelievable consistency. And honestly, to come up in some of the games that we needed him to and be a little bit clutch, like I think he's got a lot higher potential than most people think he does because they don't watch him. Like it's a huge debate amongst Chelsea fans right now who our player of the season is, and most people say Kovacic, and it's not even close the difference.
I think for a while it was
between
Kovacic.
Mason's quality and Kovacic's quality.
Sure.
And Kovacic is 5 years older than him, like had tons of experience. And Kovacic is a totally fine player, like good 6, great defender, like 4 or 5 tackles a game. He's a very good holding midfielder.
Mm-hmm.
But Mason's versatility and consistency really takes him to a higher level than most people think he's at. And in a debate between other very good young midfielders, Phil, who's on the decent list,
He's above Phil.
James Madison, Jack Grealish. Statistically, Mason Mount outperforms all of those players.
He's lapping them, kind of.
And we're talking about Jack Grealish, who is rumored to go for $100 million.
I wouldn't say he's not. That's the one guy he's not lapping, production-wise.
He's on par. Underlying statistics, he's on par with Jack Grealish.
Which, and now Jack Grealish is older.
Right. These are not necessarily the same. They're just they're young English attacking midfielders.
But what I would say, the only thing I would say is obviously with Jack Grealish is he's doing it at Aston Villa, so,
correct.
which is
why
it's so impressive.
But our Chelsea team was not veteran.
All right, you ready for my take on this?
Yeah,
I know you. That didn't happen. I totally agree with you. But. You know why
he's not world class. I think he has this long-term ability to get there, and that'll be really good for England. But I think he's a midfielder, and it takes midfielders a long time to age. I think like to see a midfielder like Fetty or Kai, like it doesn't happen that often to get a extremely good midfielder at 20 years old. And I think what this guy is doing is he's performing at 7 out of 10 super consistently for 50 games straight.
Yeah, I wouldn't go that far. I do think that there were spells where it wasn't doing well. But I think it might be down to, again, he might go back to like he just was probably exhausted.
Like 52 fucking
He's exhausted
games.
and Frank ran him in the ground. Now, you know why I'm gonna argue a little bit, even though I totally agree with you. This man celebrated after David De Gea just gave him a goal. The shame to celebrate after that sham of a goal is why you don't. The balls on that man.
He does. Oh my gosh.
He's an absolute pit bull.
There's a great clip going around of Mason because Mason's been at Chelsea for a long time. There's a clip of Mason in an academy practice talking to Chelsea TV. Talking to Lee Parker,
right?
Of him like literally 12 years ago, and him being like, "I base my free kicks on Ronaldo. I kick it by the valve, and it swerves, top bins." And he takes this free kick right after he says it in an academy practice and bends it over the wall, puts it top bins. And it's this clip that has now gone viral
right.
because he just hit this beautiful free kick against Wolves
Yeah.
in literally the same spot of the field, right
That's
over the
hilarious.
wall. And it's such like
it's definitely really cool to see like those guys like become
it's
like Greenwood. Like there's a picture of him. Like I don't know if you've seen the picture, but like it's at like the like what is it, like the milk cup or whatever, like the big it's like big, and like he's like by like a trophy and he's just got this like the biggest smile on his face.
Callum Hudson-Odoi, the one of the coolest pictures of him is Eto'o scoring against Manchester United.
And he's going nuts.
And
is he a ball? Like
he's a ball boy. And so Eto'o is celebrating in the corner flag, and he's celebrating with Callum Hudson-Odoi.
That's amazing.
And Callum's like, this is 6 years ago, so Callum's like 12 years old, 13 years old, and I think that's what most people like don't understand is like, in all respects, this season has not been a good season for Chelsea. Like when you look in totality, like points
or United,
points,
right?
It actually was not a good year at all. But the way we went through the year with so many debuts and so many academy kids playing, and like us getting top 4 and being in a final and being in the last 16 of Champions League, it's like I've enjoyed this year more than I have.
It's the same thing.
Recent year, only because these kids coming through are Chelsea.
It just feels good. It feels right.
Good.
Right. It's the same thing. Like
to see that clip of Mason or Callum or Tammy when he was young or Reece when he was young, and to see them to see Reece like scoring against Ajax 4-4, like and knee sliding to the corner in Champions League night. Dude, I've been watching Reece play for 5 years.
It's the same. It's the same thing like as Greenwood, right? Like I'm so happy, right?
Yeah, it tastes better.
It tastes so good, yeah, for sure. Martinelli.
Oh yeah, where did I have this guy?
I got a little bit of like
Martinelli's decent.
I think he's
kind
decent.
of on the low end, but I think he had like 10 goals this year.
I don't think he's on the low end. You want to know why? Because I think that injury, without the injury, I think he's higher.
I think he's like Vinny level.
I think honestly, I'm gonna put him above because I think Vinny didn't. With the amount of time Vinny had, Martinelli's way too close on as far as production.
He's not. Richarlison is more like finished products. Like he's bagging more goals. But
I'm just not putting him above.
All right, you know.
And he got hurt, which was unfortunate. But I thought he was good. He was literally like, besides Aubameyang, the only bright spot about Arsenal.
Oh, that other kid too is good.
Yeah, but that was before. I'm saying that was after he got hurt though.
Saka kid.
Saka's not bad.
Saka's a good player.
Saka's an odd one. But yeah.
Who's this kid? Tomori? Yeah. Tomori is. Let me look at this.
You're like, how do I put him?
No. He's definitely decent, but he's like.
I think he's low because he didn't play enough. That's the only reason.
He's not a bad player.
He's a very good player. I think he should have started for you guys.
I just think he got injured at the end of the year, which is why he's not playing.
Oh, okay.
He's been out with.
He probably
injury.
would start then.
He's not Reece. I would say. Yeah, he's probably on the low end of the decent. That'd be my. He's not overrated. He's a totally decent player. It's not. I think he's a starter. He could definitely be a starter for us for a long time.
Yeah.
And he started for us this year for a long time.
Until I thought he did well too. So. I thought honestly with him and Zoo,
him and Zoo
were probably your most consistent two.
That was when we were.
Though I still think Rudiger has a place, and I know you hate him, but I over the last couple of years he's still been your center back. He's been your most consistent. So we're not gonna go. We're just gonna on 3. Yeah, 1, 2, 3.
Yeah.
That's the easiest one, right?
Mbappe's the easiest one.
Yeah, I mean he's already in the top 5 best players in the world, if not even more than that.
He's definitely a top 5.
Yeah,
definitely top.
Easy. Next one, Jadon Sancho.
I think he's second. I think he's generational. I think there's a pretty solid gap between Mbappe and Sancho.
Right now, there is.
But I also think that for the position that Sancho plays, there's a gap between.
I think they're different players. They're completely different players.
You cannot.
There's not really a comparison.
No, but I also don't see like the season Sancho had this year. Like he's extremely high level.
You don't see the numbers that he puts up, which is why I think he's the first person to ever have 20 and 20.
Yeah, he had a great year. I think he's generational. I do think that even those two are on top, there's a pretty big gap in between those two, and I actually think Holland is closer to Sancho than Sancho is to Mbappe.
I can agree with that.
But I think Sancho is ridiculous. So
I mean, and Sancho is also, what, 2 years younger than him?
then Mbappe,
Yeah.
I think Sancho's 20.
I don't think so. I think he's 19.
Well, whatever. He's one of those two.
That's what I'm saying.
I don't think he's 21 yet.
No, he's definitely not. I think he's 19, and I think Mbappe is 21.
Mbappe and Sancho are kings of were the only two I had up there. And
That's
I
fair.
think I only had.
And if we're not, we've kind of stayed away from really projecting, because then it would be a little different.
Ooh,
Next guy, I think we
Felix.
Felix tough.
Oh, you name Felix first, because I think we have different opinions.
Can
on
I be
Felix.
honest? I think he should be in good, but I think he's decent.
Oh, nice. Yeah.
I just don't think he.
I think.
He had a rough season at Atletico.
I had him in tier 4.
Yeah, so decent.
Because he had such a good year at Benfica,
I think he's like,
and then he really sucked this year at Atletico. But on his behalf, Atletico are a very, very difficult team to be productive for.
And honestly,
Griezmann had the same problem.
especially at center forward, it's just not because they don't score a lot of goals.
They just don't. But
I think it was
I think he's actually better than this. But
yeah, he honestly, I think
he honestly he needs to go to like Bayern or something.
it was the wrong move for him. It was the right move financially because they paid a lot of money. I think he should. What he did at Benfica at the age, he should be in that world class tier, easy.
Yep,
right?
But he didn't go to an attacking team, and he should have.
He went to a poor team. It's happened to a lot of players.
Yep.
You just picked the wrong team.
He's got time to fix it.
A guy who went to, honestly, it looked like the right team for him this year and
Who's
might
this?
be going to Barcelona. Lautaro Martinez.
Oh, this guy's second for me in the good tier. He's behind Rashford. So I had Rashford, Martinez, Pulisic, Greenwood.
Finger slipped.
Greenwood. But yeah, he had a good year. He kind of tailed off at the
He
end
tailed
of
off
the year,
at the end.
but good player. He's
He's
fine.
good. I think he's gonna be a good player, and I'm interested to see if that. I mean, there's been a lot of traction with the Barcelona move. That's been a thing all year.
Yeah, I think he
needs a couple. I think
he needs to.
he needs to wait.
I think he'll be fine. He's in a good team. He's Lukaku's a good player. He can play off that guy.
Though to
he's
be fair,
he's gonna be a starter on that team.
yeah, I think he waits. Give it one more year. Suarez will be done. We'll probably be
go back to Ajax or something.
yeah, something.
It's actually a great move for him.
That would make a lot of sense. They would make a move like that too.
Yeah.
No, I think he's good. I think he's gonna score a lot of goals.
Yeah.
Kubo. Place-
Yeah, you took a lot of people out of my overrated tier. And I don't view it as overrated. I just view it as like the bottom of these players.
Yeah.
And currently Kubo is down there. Kubo is currently
I think he's played.
Kubo, Rodrigo.
See, but you took one. You took a couple of mine though, because I would have definitely
now
had.
nobody's down in the
No, but I would. No, I'm saying you've taken a couple of mine out of overrated as well.
Who?
Are you taking Dembele?
Oh. Yeah, but Dembele had such a good year that
One good year.
I know, but that's one more good year than half the people you put above him.
It's a what have you done for me lately kind of life.
Right, and these guys haven't done much.
Either has he. He's done less.
So
and
they
he's been
should
a
all be
dickhead too.
down. Yeah. Oh, I had.
I thought
I'm sorry. I actually had. I know we put Martinelli. I actually had a Martinelli in the bottom tier.
But then you realize
he was bottom. He was top of the bottom tier.
But he wasn't that bad.
No, he's not bad. He just isn't better. I had in the bottom, my bottom tier. It was
We'll reorganize it.
Martinelli was top. Rodrigo was second. Kubo was third. Matteo is fourth, and the Anderlecht guy.
I can't even say his name.
Yeah, just I mean, like he played a ton of games and he scored. You know, I think he got to like 10 goal contributions. You know, like we're talking about this decent tier is so big, and I'm looking at Tammy and Richarlison, who are scoring like 15 goals a season.
Yeah, but he played well, even though
Okay,
his production. All right,
I'm just saying like this guy's
He
not
didn't-
quite at that level. Neither is Rodrigo. Neither is Vinny. Neither is Fati. Neither is Martinelli. Like no, all those guys are on kind of a different tier. And will they get to a different tier eventually? Yes, I do.
all right. Yari or Sharon. I'm gonna be honest, guys. Somebody else put these players in. I thought it was a solid list. It was better than the other ones.
This guy doesn't deserve it.
I can't say his name. You guys know this. This is a theme. You give me a hard name, I'm gonna slaughter it. And I was like, all right. Anderlecht's put some good players out though.
Did you look him up?
I did.
Did he have a bad?
It wasn't good. He was like, I think he had like 4 goals and an assist.
What is he?
A right winger.
Oh,
Yo, honestly,
so he's the bottom.
I should have known. Yo, Anderlecht made Vincent Company the player manager at one point. They ain't making good decisions no more.
No.
They sold Tillman and they said, that's all we got.
Well, they started Tillman's a long time ago.
I know. They haven't made good sense.
He was gonna go eventually.
I think we gotta sort this out because I think we have some disagreements.
Yeah, I think Greenwood's really high.
Nah. Okay. Let's start with the bottom. Yeah, we're good.
I would drop.
If we drop Rodrigo, we gotta drop Dembele. That's how I feel about it.
I would drop.
That's the one you're strongest about, right? I'm strongest about Dembele. I think he's been that bad, and I think that he's not proven mentality-wise that he's gonna improve. I'm willing to drop them.
Yeah, I would drop. I would drop those two. I would move Fati to.
I'll put. I'm not moving Fati. He basically, guys, just imagine Fati's not there. Like, who am I? Oh, okay. You good with that?
Yeah.
I'm not, but I'll take it because I got Dembele to get dropped down because I think that's where he belongs.
It does look better. I think Vinny, Martinelli, and Colum are at the bottom.
You think Tomori's ahead of?
I think Tomori's ahead of all of them. I think he had a very good season. But he's a defender, so you look at him. I think everybody looks at him differently. But I wouldn't change any of the people inside that one.
No.
All the way up to big shout from you for Tammy as the number 1 player. Big shout.
I'm keeping him there. You know why?
I respect that.
Because I was able to keep Phil Foden down because of it.
Yeah, Phil. I would have put Phil up 1, but
I know. I wouldn't.
Phil would have been the bottom of my good
That's
list.
Fair. I feel good about this though.
Yeah, I mean Greenwood's too high, but
nah,
that's okay. I know where Greenwood's supposed to be.
Here's
and
why.
To be fair, Wan-Bissaka wouldn't have been in my good tier either, but he's a decent starter. I don't think he gets into a lot of high level teams. I don't think you transfer him to like the same way I was talking about Davies, like how you could move him to a lot of different teams. I don't think Wan-Bissaka translates.
I think he does. I think he gets into more than you think.
He's not getting into Barcelona, Real Madrid. He's not getting into Bayern Munich. He's not getting into Dortmund. He's not getting into.
Well, he's getting Dortmund now.
This past year. Okay.
Okay. Well, Hakimi's gone, so. And
Okay,
I
so
put
then
Hakimi ahead of him.
So then he's not getting into Inter Milan.
Well, he is this year. This past year, he's not getting into it this
Yeah,
year. But I don't know. Actually, to be fair, he probably does get into Inter Milan because like Conte defense.
Right. He
would get in. He probably get
center
moved
back.
center back.
Yeah. Right. Yeah. I was
Which
gonna
you
say.
said.
He'd be a Cesar Azpilicueta type player.
Yeah.
I think the top 2.
Well, that was easy.
The only one that. Yeah, that was actually exactly my top 2. Besides.
Yeah, mine too.
I had. Yeah, that was exactly my top 2. My third was just a different order, but I understand your bias. And then I didn't have Wan-Bissaka, but that's okay. But I also had Phil Foden because I think Phil is.
I think Phil's very good.
I think Phil's on that cusp. Decent tier. I wouldn't have had Martinelli. That's probably the only one.
I think it'd just be too harsh to put him in overrated because of how good he was until he got hurt.
Yeah, that's fine.
And it was like his first year.
I don't care that much.
Yeah.
I don't care.
All right. I feel good. This is good.
Yep. Pretty easy.
I think it's pretty easy, but we still were able to argue.
Poor shout to Felix, man. That kid had a.
I'll
great
perform
year.
better. I don't want to hear it.
Had a
Make
great
better
year.
choices. You shouldn't have went to Atletico. Like, I could have told you that, and I'm a dumbass. Like, I could have told you, that might not be the best move for you, man.
Mm-mm.
Like, you're not going to score goals. Griezmann's a really good player. Look what he does for France.
Mm-hmm.
He doesn't score goals there. To be fair, he doesn't score goals for Barcelona either, though. So.
Griezmann actually has a very good record for France.
And that's what I'm saying. Look what he does for France.
Yeah.
And he wasn't scoring as many goals for Atletico.
Well, I think that's a big shout to Griezmann's talent.
because he did score goals.
Yeah, he scored like 20 every year.
Yeah, which is insane.
Yeah, it's to do that.
Well,
at
what I
Atletico
mean is
very
it's
difficult.
what he scored at Atletico is not actually on par with what.
And I think we're harsh. I think we're harsh with Atletico because they've had very good strikers in the past. Sergio Aguero's had some great years there.
They're
Fernando
like
Torres has
they're
some
striker
great-
central. Like when you think about who they've given up and
Yeah, they've sent on some very good strikers.
Like, let's go back to Diego Forlan. Like before that, like
Sergio Aguero, Forlan, Falcao had a great year. Jackson Martinez had a great year there.
who was the other French guy? He was the second striker, like shorter, a little more diminutive.
Oh yeah, Kevin, right?
Yes.
Kevin, he had a good year there.
Yeah, he had quite a good year with Griezmann, right?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, like they've had good strikers.
Yeah, and
They're just not set up. They're not
theoretically they should have like good production as well, but
they're just not set up to play that way.
well they have Diego and
Defend
Felix
and kill people.
um,
I respect it though. I mean, they had success, so we can't really hate too much.
Yeah.
But I think it's a good list. It's always fun. We'll be back arguing again very soon.
I'm sure
We got some stuff in the pipeline, but I think we're gonna have a little bit of fun now that we've kind of talked about sports cards. I think we're definitely gonna have to bring those into the forefront, talk about them. Cam's making the big moves. I'm making mini moves. I got some wins though. Maybe. So we got lots to talk about. It's been fun as always. Tactical Foul. I've been Kyle Grew, Cameron Baker. We'll see you guys next time. Thanks.